Tom, thank you for joining me. This is an interview which we hope will give members a good understanding of the situation at the club, both on the field and behind the scenes, and just provide even more clarity on the cricket strategy. And we'll start off, if I may, with 2024. We've covered a lot of ground with Mickey, with players, as to 2024 being a disappointing season, particularly in red ball cricket. From a board point of view, how would you reflect on 2024?
Look, I think we reflect on it just like anybody else, whether you're a fan, a supporter or a member of the team. There's no doubt that the red ball was disappointing. We don't want to finish with a wooden spoon in the county championship, and whether we play good cricket at different times or not, ultimately that table doesn't lie at the end of the day. So we need to make improvements there. I don't think the margins are ever as big as people think. A lot's driven by confidence, form, and actually we had a lot of new players come in that were trying to establish themselves, and ultimately we want to build on that going forward as they sort of come together with a bit more collective identity. We asked a lot of David Lloyd to come in and captain the side, actually with hindsight, and I watched a lot of it last year, and at times it's a lonely place, particularly when you're trying to establish yourself, and also take on that responsibility. So look, we reflect on it. No doubt the team have talked to the nth about it. From the board's point of view, obviously it's disappointing, but it's how we can improve. Look at the decision making, be the critical sort of probing friend, which is the role that I sort of play on the chair in the cricket committee, and that's sort of its role really. But also doing that within the context of knowing what some of the challenges are that we face in terms of budgets and players and things like that really. So the white ball was obviously more positive, and what's disappointing is we put ourselves in good positions to get to the final stages in competition, but fall at sort of that last hurdle. And as I sort of know from my own experience, games are decided only in a few sort of passages of play, and it's how you recognise those passages of play and how you sort of have the composure and execution to get through those and win those battles. And the more battles of those that you win, when when they appear, the more successful you are in games. And we're making improvements, there's no doubt. We brought in some experience to do that. That was part of some of the recruitment that we did. Unless you've had that experience, it's difficult to bring players on, because you've just got to continue to put yourself in those situations more frequently. And hopefully that's where those players, earn their coin at the end of the day. They're the guys that recognise those moments and they execute and obviously take you deeper into the competition. So it was a nearly season in that, in the white ball, but no doubt we want to improve the red ball. And again, it's really positive to see some of the youngsters also develop in the Royal London competition. And that's exciting, as we come on to to talk about some of the youth development and hopefully coming towards another good cycle.
What would you define success as for both the team on the field, but also the cricket committee? What are the aims?
Good question. I think, look, we want to get promoted and we want to get to Division 1. Ultimately, that's the goal. That's where we go out there, and you're trying to win every game and win every session. But there'll be ups and downs from that. I want to see an improvement in red ball cricket. I think we've got to find a style and method of play. I think we started to do that. There's some interesting things around pitches next year and the use of hybrid pitches, which we won our first game at home on a hybrid pitch. And there's been a change in the number of games that can be played on hybrid pitches next year. So again, that might give us a home advantage that we just haven't utilised enough for a long period of time. To have to wait to win a game at home and not use that home advantage for such a long period of time is ultimately not good enough. So hopefully we see an improvement and consistency on that side of things. And again, in the white ball, we've got the experience, we've got the quality, we've got the dynamism of players, we've got the explosive players that can win games of cricket. I think it's a belief. I think it's a composure. When we get to those match-winning moments, those number of periods in the game that are going to define it, we need to be winning more of those. and as I said, you only continue to do that the more times you put yourself in those positions, really. But those guys that are getting paid the big bucks to get us over the line have got to start doing that, really. And look, there's going to be a turnover in terms of the playing staff as well. There's some guys that are playing for contracts, and ultimately that's going to, shape the team and shape the strategy. I mean, I'm desperate for all of the guys that are on the roster at the minute to perform and absolutely go out and earn the contract. I know from myself, you go out there every time not wanting to fail. Nobody wants to go out there and fail or not perform. But we've got to, execute a little bit better, probably have a little bit more composure, and actually probably just gel together a little bit better. I said we had quite a lot of guys come in, and particularly on the red ball, I think that manifested itself by collapses or having periods of play. We could compete for large parts of the game, and then half an hour or 45 minutes has killed the game. And I experienced it myself. And it's happening, and it's horrible. You're in the changing room and you're watching it happen, and you're filled with anxiety. You're saying, "Oh, I'm going to try and stop the flow," but it's a difficult thing a difficult rut to get yourself out of. So I just want us to be more consistent. I want us to be more composed. I want us to be more confident and have the belief, and we're more than capable of getting promoted, and we're more than capable of getting ourselves to the final stages of white ball competitions, and then it comes down just to the day. But I think ultimately we've got to have that belief. We've got some really exciting players. Aniran last year, in the T20, just amazing innings. But I want to see him kick on. And even in the red ball, that role, if he bats for a session, he can turn a game in its head, and all of a sudden there's a momentum change, and he's more than capable of doing it. And I know that he won't be happy with where his average finished last year, but these are the growth of the players that we want to see. And if we do that, performances are going to improve. And look, I was lucky to win a trophy at this club with a team that wasn't perceived, it was a Leicester City-esque type achievement, but it shows once you get on a run what confidence can do even for young players. You find that method, and that's what's exciting. And I think we've definitely got that, and they've got to go out there and enjoy it at the end of the day. I think as I sit here now, I'm only 35 and I'm sat in this chair with a suit and tie on and not whites and colours on. Is that it's a short period of time that you play for, and actually they're the best times of your life that someone was willing to pay for you to go out there and play cricket. And I suppose that's some of the sort of perspective that I want to give to some of the guys, really. I suppose that's where, given my age profile, that I can probably connect with them on, because it's just over in an instance where people tell you that, some of the past players tell you that, but actually go and play the game with that perspective and go and enjoy it. It's not the end of the world. People aren't going to die. Blair's instance, horrific thing with Sarah. I think you just take that context and go and play accordingly, really. And if you do that, have some good fun, put on some good nights for fans, and then get people behind it, and ultimately try and lift some more silverware.